Hello folks out there, my name's Jimmy Campbell, or James Campbell as it says on my YouTube channel. I don't have a specific music channel that has various videos on it. I've just got a number on there, one or two. The last video I did was doing this, turning my garage into a studio. Well, it's hard to believe 2 years have gone by so quickly, and I've really enjoyed myself. What it's done, that video, is actually kind of like showcased some of the stuff that I've got around, and it's brought in a little bit of interest, and I've managed to get myself a couple of clients, funnily enough. So what I'm going to do today, which is the plan, is to actually show you an update of the studio. Where the recording booth is, shall we say the vocal booth is, not much has changed there. But there are one or two things that are going to be notable to you, and I'd like to introduce them to you. And this time, instead of just skirting through the studio, I'll have a more in-depth one of my equipment, what I use it for, and various things I do like, and new stuff I've bought, stuff I've sold, stuff that I did have that I don't have in my possession anymore, that I thought would be useful, and have sold them on. And also the new things that I do like and have proven to be very vital to what I do. So anyway, enough with the chit chat. Let's crack on with it, shall we? On a previous video, this desk was the centerpiece of my studio, but since then I've made a number of changes. The most striking one, obviously, is the desk that I've got now. And if you look carefully, there are some other changes that I've made, but I'll go into detail with them during the video. The way I worked in the past, I realised I couldn't work like that any longer. Mainly because, with the keyboard by the wall, as well as the drum machine, things weren't user-friendly. I needed something that's a bit more central. So the console idea came into my mind, where I'd have something that's much more user-friendly, much more contained, much more accessible. There was a number of desks that I looked at, but the Argosy Dual 15 was definitely the one that I liked the look of. And even better, when I was measuring up the specifications, it fitted exactly where I wanted it to go. It catered for my monitors, it catered for my racks, and it also catered for my PC. And that's the one I went for. Now, when I made the order and the delivery arrived, it came in 11 pieces. Now, a word of caution to people that have got a few physical issues lifting awkward weights. Some of them boxes are big ass boxes, and you may need some help with that. It comes with a manual, and all the pieces are itemised, and if you're used to putting IKEA products together, something like an Argosy desk should be no difficulty for you at all. Now, the next clip you see here is not the beginning of a DIY video. What I'm showing you is the actual construction of the base. Now, if you look in the centre, I'd already fitted the rack case ready to house the PC, and hidden behind the base is guttering for the cabling. Now, the one good thing about these Argosy desks is the storage space. It really is good for that. You can put a lot of things in there. And my idea was to actually get myself a Silverstone case, one of those HTPC cases where you can actually fit a full ATX board in there, which is ideal because that's what I've got. And not only that, you can actually fit rack ears to them. And I thought, you know, if I could actually bolt a rack cabinet to that, then I would have the ideal place to put a PC, and it'd be out the way. I wouldn't be kicking it if it was on the floor, and it would be central where I could put all the USB wiring to that without having to stretch a USB from one side to the other, the USB cable. Right, now we're going to move on to the surface of the console. We're going to deal with the rack mounts and the monitors. First of all, we'll start off with the monitors. I've still got my Mackie HR824s from a video that I'd done many years ago, about 4 or 5 years ago. Still got them. I use them for the low end when I'm doing my mixes and so forth. It's pretty good. So when I want a reference of the low end, the Mackie HR824s are really beneficial for that. My new acquirement is these KRK Rocket 5s. And I use them for the high to mid-range reference monitors. Now, I used to have these Elasis monitors, but I decided to move on to these KRKs. But I've been hearing reports about a certain set of monitors that are relatively good, and they're called Kali 6s. So I might be looking at purchasing them in the future. I don't know yet. I'll have to make my mind up on that, because I don't want to be surrounded with lots of equipment and not really doing much. Anyway, these Roccat KRK5s are really good, and they're my new acquisition for when I want to hear top to mid-range references. Now we're going to move on to the left rack mount. At the top of the left one, I have a Roland JV880. Now, I used to use that a lot for my orchestral string sounds, but now with Kontakt, that came on the scene many years ago, it's become obsolete really. I still use it now and again. There might be one or two sounds I might want to modify that Kontakt doesn't quite recreate, but there's not a lot that I use it for, but I still have it there. You never know, I might use it. Right, underneath the Roland JV880 is the Novation Supernova. I've had that for years. Must be talking about 10, 11 years, probably more than that to tell you the truth. And I still like program that. I still know how to do that. And I use that mostly for pad sounds. It still has a few nice things, but now with the new plugins that have come out, you know, like Serum and Massive, you know, it can't really compete with those kind of things. But for pad sounds, believe me, it really is good for that. And our arpeggiated sounds are still good on that. Underneath the Supernova is my MIDI interface, which is called MIDIman MIDI Sport 8x8. Now, MIDIman became the company called M Audio. So they've moved on to that. And they've made many things, audio interfaces, all of the things. Anyway, we'll move over to the right rack module. And on the top rack is my Apollo 8. I've changed my Liquid Sapphire 56, which I used to have, for Apollo 8. Now, this Apollo 8 is not the new ones that have come out, that I've got the Thunderbolt 3, but it's the previous one to that. But this one's slightly different to the previous ones because this one has a Thunderbolt card, Thunderbolt 3 card at the back. And believe you me, get into Thunderbolt 3, because when it comes to latency, it can kill it dead. Really good at that. So my suggestion is get yourself a Thunderbolt 3 device if you're looking for an audio interface. Anyway, I'll move on to my rack module underneath that, which is the Focusrite Voice Master Pro. I still use that to direct line my mic into that because I like the sound from that. I know how to treat it and I know what results I get from that. So I'm not going to change that. I'm keeping that. And I know Apollo's got many plugins to do many simulations for mics and that. But if you're happy with something, why change? Why change it? Just underneath that is my Line 6 Pod XT guitar amp simulator. As with the plugins on Apollo, the Line 6 can simulate many types of sounds for your guitar. You can have tremolo, chorus, phaser, flanger. You can have auto wah, or I've got a wah-wah pedal for that, which I do now and again use for my guitar work and playing with that. And it's great fun having all these old-fashioned sounds being played in there. Now, just underneath the Line 6 Pod XT, which is the Machine, and I do like that. I know it's the Machine 2, they've got a Machine 3, but I don't think I'm going to be switching over to that at any time soon. I was thinking of that Machine Studio at one time, but I'm thinking, although I do use the Machine, I don't use it as my centerpiece for doing music, because I work in a DAW, and I'll explain which DAW I'm using later on. But anyway, I've had my Machine. It's good for all sorts of things. Not only that, I can use it as a generic keyboard, use the program changer on there to switch from sound to sound. That's one of the main reasons why I switched to this than having everything on the wall, because if I didn't get to use that and had to use the mouse, I would have to be clicking the mouse, cranking my neck, blah, blah, blah. And I really didn't want that. I wanted everything to be all here. So that's pretty good. Now we're going to move on to the keyboard, which is right at the center of my console. Now, the beauty of the Komplete Kontrol S49 is it is really nice to use. You can actually use it, switch sound. I know what I'm doing on this. It's very good. And what was really good about this console is the space between the left rack and the right rack is 850 mils. and the complete control was 820, so I knew straight away it was going to fit in that slot perfectly. And when you look at it, it's like it was made to measure for this console, so I really do like that. We're now going to move on to the monitor. Right, the monitor I'm now using is a Iyama 34-inch widescreen, or ultra widescreen as they call it. Now, if you've looked at my previous videos, you'd realise that I had a 32-inch touchscreen, which I was running FL Studio on. I realised after a while with that touchscreen, although it was great to use, great fun using the faders, controlling dials here and there, after a while I would be kind of like leaning back more and more and using the mouse more and more. So I was thinking to myself, I can't see the point in having a touchscreen to use it to have a hands-on effect and then eventually not using that and just using it as a standard monitor and using the mouse instead. And not just that, what I realised, right, is with a 1080p screen, if you're using a DAW like Studio One, which is what I'm using now, the track count on Studio One would be the sort of like 21 channels. You could have 21 channels, 21 faders appearing on the screen. And plugins like Maschine, if they came on, they would virtually swallow the screen and any other plugins as well. And when I'm working, I would have to use Maschine, then close it down and then carry on working on the DAW. Whereas with the Iyama monitor, you get more screen real estate, as they call it. That's the new word for these things, which means it's not a 1080p. I think the resolution is something like 3440 1440. And with that, the screen real estate is really good on that. The track count on that, as opposed to the 1080p, is something like nearly 40. I think it's 39, that's it. 39 tracks you can have on there. And a plugin like Maschine, when you put it on there, it's not swallowing up the screen or any other plugin. And you don't have to close it down to continue working. You can actually move Maschine to one side and still do whatever you need to do. So that's the advantages of having this Iyama widescreen. Not only that, the measurement width-wise is almost the same as that, so it looks like they're both in tandem. And one thing I do like about it is the fact that where it is, it really does look the part, and I do get more out of my screen with that. Okay, it's time to wrap it up. I really enjoyed buying this console. I really think it's a good purchase. Now, I'm sure you've all looked at the pricing and realised, what are you paying for it? Yes, that's right. In British pounds, it cost 2,760 quid.
Say what?
Yep, that's right. 2,760 quid. Now, for somebody who's into music, they'll be thinking that and thinking, why would you spend 2,760 on a desk when you could get one from IKEA for about 150? Well, you could ask the same question of somebody who buys a BMW for 55k. They could easily buy a VW Jetta for 25k, couldn't they? But why did they buy the BMW? Because they want to be seen in it, they want to be seen driving it, they want people to see them driving it, and they want it on their drive. Well, it's the same with me in the console. I'm not interested in cars. I don't drink, I don't smoke, I don't gamble. I'm getting too old for the night clubbing. So I spend my money on gadgets, and I think it's worth it. I think it's worth it, and I'm glad I bought it. I really am, because it's exceeded my expectations for how things fitted. Of course you measure up and you try your best to do your research on the specifications, but you never really know what something's really going to be like until you actually have it in your possession. And yeah, fully enjoy that. I think it's a good idea. And no doubt if you're looking at this video, you know it looks good, don't you? I'm sure people, the audiophiles, are looking at the audio treatment and thinking, why is he using foam? You should be doing this, you should be doing that. Yeah, and look at the bass traps, the crap, blah, blah, blah. Hey, I spent what I spent, and if you want to see a picture of my bedroom, I'll show you it now, where my studio setup used to be in the bedroom. And the garage is far superior in sound quality, far superior in space, And the fact of the matter is I could get one of these in the garage where I couldn't get one of these in the bedroom. As I'm saying, very, very happy with what the product, and there's not much more else to say on that. So I'm going to leave it at that now. Thanks for watching. I hope I didn't bore the death out of you, because I was yammering a bit, but what the hell. I'm leaving the camera fixated on the desk so that you can have a last look of it before it fades out. But anyway, have a good time, make great music, and get back to me on one thing before I go. The mic I've got is a Rode NT1A, and I want to change that. I'm looking at spending at the maximum £800 on a mic. Any suggestions? Write in on the comments and let me know. But apart from that, thanks very much for watching. Have a good day.